Hello YouTube, this is William. Welcome to another Whittle Talk. Inevitably, at least once a week, maybe twice a week, I will get asked about my opinion on a lot of these sharpening implements that's come out. The Work Sharp and some of them are motorized, some of them are control the angle and all this other stuff. And ask me what my thoughts are. So I thought maybe I would do this video and just so I can just copy and paste this video in there instead of writing a long dissertation on it. I find with myself, my personal opinion, I've only used or tried one. It was a Lansky thing that had guides and rods, and it was just a big pain in my book. But I always ask myself a few questions once somebody asks me this. Is this contraption, is it going to be to where I'm going to carry it into the woods? Is it going to go everywhere I go? Because I may have to sharpen a knife butchering a deer out in the woods, and if this is the only means of sharpening, am I willing to carry this into the woods? If I'm only at the house and this is the only thing I use, and I'm only using it to sharpen kitchen knives, that's one thing. But sharpening a knife and learning how to sharpen a knife freehand with bench stones and pocket stones and all this other stuff is a skill that if you don't use, you will lose it. It's like with anything else. If you learn a task and you don't practice at it every so often, then you will lose that skill. So as you're relying on this other implement, then you may find yourself in a situation where you have to sharpen a knife and you don't have your implement with you. What are you going to do? I think my personal opinion is I think they're crutches. I think that it is best to actually learn how to sharpen a knife without any of those guides or motorized things or any of that other stuff that's actually a crutch, like I said. I think it's going to hinder you in the long run. What if the machine breaks down and you can't get parts for 2 months? Are you going to have a dull knife for 2 months? Are you going to go out and buy a new one? There's just so many variables there that I just don't trust. But if you go the old-fashioned way and learn how to sharpen a knife on a stone, you can get a stone out of the riverbank and sharpen a knife. I've used screwdrivers as a sharpening steel, sharpen a knife. Anything will sharpen a knife as long as you understand the angles and how that is, and you have the muscle memory to apply those angles to whatever you're using that's harder than the knife. Anything that's harder than the knife, if it will dull the knife, it will sharpen the knife. Cardboard will sharpen a knife to a certain extent, as long as you don't let it get too far dull. Okay? So if it takes the edge off, it'll put the edge back on there. Rule of thumb. So in a nutshell, I don't care, and I can't recommend contraptions. I don't use them. I would have to use something to recommend it, and those that I've used and those that I've seen, I don't see a need in it. But I've learned the skill of sharpening without one. So I think my recommendation is get in a room somewhere with some good solid stones, and when I say stones I mean diamond stones. I'm not a fan of water stones because they they deteriorate, they will dent, they will ding, and it's just so hard to keep a perfectly flat surface. So what you're doing is you're changing the bevel as you use these stones. I don't recommend water stones. I don't recommend many of the natural stones because they will, if you have a flaw in your technique, then that will amplify it over time because those stones will eventually erode to that flaw, and so you'll have your edge over on one side. It'll be dipped, it'll be concave, it'll be something wrong with that edge. It will not be a true edge like was intended. So I prefer stones that are solid, like diamond stones, that it's not gonna dip or ding or get angles that's not right. it's going to be there perfectly flat. Ceramic is good because it's not gonna erode over time and cause you to mess up your blade edge either. So I say get one of those stones, get some blades that is cheap blades. Go down to the supermarket, you know, those knives, it's $1.99 on the shelf. Buy you a couple, 3 of those things and just practice. Get in the room and just practice. Wear them out. Because once you have that skill, you won't need a crutch. You won't need anything that shows you how to do the angle. You'll automatically know. So that's my 2 cents on it. So if you're asking about that, don't recommend them. And that's why. So until the next one, you guys get in the backyard, whittle on a stick, take some sharpening stones with you and practice. And if you do, be sure and take plenty of band-aids and lots of knives. We'll catch you again soon.